Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I was about to say Friday rant, but it's not the Friday rant. I actually have and now we're about to start another. I used to do this when we had another podcast, and we're about to have a second one. I have to remember which one I'm on because I'm just like, I'm going, like no matter what. So it's like, no, because I remember I do have to record some Friday rants. So I was thinking about it. So no, we have Chase in the house. What's up, brother?
Pleasure to be back, man. Yeah, when the man's in the zone, he's in the zone. It's just,
dude. Look what I got from Mary.
Where am mine too? Shout out Mary.
Yeah. So wanted to have you back on. We have so many things we could talk about, but mainly, since I think you've been on the podcast, you had a little thing happen, little kid. You had a kid. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, little tiny life event, world altering thing happened. It was fun. She's 11 weeks today.
11 weeks today.
Yeah.
So here's my favorite question on the podcast. What was easier than you thought before you had the kid? So what was easy? Something that you were like, man, this is going to be tough, but it was easy.
Oh man, that's a tough question to answer because me being me, I went into it already telling myself a lot of it would be easy. And keeping our eating patterns and meal prep the same has been a lot easier. If there's anything, I would have expected the Sunday routine of shopping and getting cooking done to have been upended more, and it's been seamless with still getting everything done.
What was harder than you realized?
What was harder? Getting workouts done and making sure that Sarah can still get her workout done. And balancing all of that with still having the output that I want during the workday.
So I say this thing, especially when I'm meeting clients for the first time, about like, I care more about, so I said, just so we're clear and you and I are on the same page, the only person I care about in this situation right now is you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about your spouse. I don't care about your kids. And they're like, oh, that's harsh. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. I think one of my bigger issues, and I'm not a parent, so please don't yell at me, parents. But my biggest issue that I think, they said, what do you think my kids need from me the most? And I said, to be completely you, to chase your dreams, to live your best life, to be healthy, to be happy. I think that we sometimes can, you obviously you're there to support another human being. You're there to nurture them and make them great. But how many times do we use as an excuse not to live our own lives?
Too many, man. And it can be easy, right? Like, the days go by so fast and she's already growing and changing. So it's like, it could be really easy had I came into this with a different mindset to be like, no, I'm going to skip my workout to spend more time with her. It's like, I still get time with my daughter. I still get time each day sitting on the couch with her, playing with her, doing whatever. And it could be very easy to justify it that way. The thing of it is a lot of the people that would justify it, well, my kid, this, before kids or without kids, they'd be justifying it with something else. Because at the end, it's a self-love and a self-prioritization thing to put yourself first. And kids will notice. I mean, anybody who's grown up, we noticed when our parents were living inauthentically, and if that happened, we picked up on the things when our parents went from superhuman to human, and they're still dealing with things of their own. we picked up on that, and our kids will pick up on the incongruencies too. So it's up to us as parents to show up in the best way possible for ourselves, because if we put all of our own, here's an interesting thought, if you put all of your own stuff just off to the side and say, well, I'm here for my kid, what kind of relationship dynamics does that teach the kid when they head off and they start dating and they start, you have just taught your kid that everybody else comes first. You know, and get me right here, my daughter comes first. And in order for my daughter to come first, there are things that I do to ensure that I am running at full capacity.
Mm-hmm. The question I've been asking all my clients today is, if next year was a smashing success, what would that look like? And it's not 50 goals. It's actually not that much. It's like 2 or 3 main pillar goals.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for me, as consistent as I am, which I'm the consistency machine, my intensity level in my health has not been a 12. And I could make 30 excuses about all the travel I'm doing in the RV and all this fucking shit. And there's legitimate cases for all those things.
Yeah.
But I have constantly I've showed up in the areas I need to be healthy per se, but I haven't shown up to be the healthiest version of myself, right? And so I said to myself, okay, the path that we're going down, the amount of people that we're going to be managing, the amount of different personalities, emotions, everything. The only way this thing goes off the rails if I'm not the healthiest version of myself. The business aspects of it, I'm actually doing the opposite this year. I decided yesterday for some reason that I'm going to start reading like the Odyssey, like the Grapes of Wrath. I'm going to start reading some books that like I've never read. Like I think for now, I've got as much business knowledge crammed up in that old noggin as humanly possible. It's something changed for me. I'm not lying. Like this, I haven't talked about this publicly. Something changed for me when I got, it's a long story, but got screwed out of the RV, the truck, and then made it happen no matter what.
Yeah.
And now we're safe. And it's something that we wanted, and it's not falling apart, and it's safe and secure. Like my needs just went to zero. Like I was like, I just literally don't need anything right now. And so I want to be super creative, because I look at the business line, and I think the only way we are better as a company is if we're like way creative. And in order to do that, you have to like, you can't be so dialed into the podcast, the books, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great people writing a lot of great things. At the end of the day, you can see a lot of the same principles in a lot of their books delivered in different ways. And when you can go back to the sages of old, you know, I love it. I have the Odyssey. I have a bookmark in the Odyssey right now. I stepped away from it to reread Atlas Shrugged, but that's another example, right? This fictional work that there are things in there to be taken away. And every time, the cool thing about pieces like that for me is every time you read them, you will be able to glean something new. And anytime somebody reads them, you're going to glean something different than somebody else, as opposed to this paint by numbers system that, you know, these business or whatever books will give you. You get to go in there and often, because our brain is already looking for the answers that we're looking for, you get to find what you need, as opposed to like rifling through everybody's books looking for something. You get the perspective of these sages of old, or these really, really, really intelligent novelists, to help us shine a light on what we need to see.
Well, I think that's an important point, because the company is our company.
Yeah.
It's not anybody else's. And so I'm going to take a reflection of my past experiences and my learnings to build it the way that we see fit. And, you know, somebody posted in my comments yesterday on Twitter, they're like, I don't know anybody that talks about the more people aspect of the business than you do. And my buddy asked on his Twitter, what's the number one lesson that you learned in 2022 that's going to change your life? And I said that nobody is in business. They're in the people business.
100%. I mean, that was even when I was running a gym. It's like, I'm not in the fitness business. I'm in the people business. And that's a little more, once you understand that idea, that's a little more obvious of a case. But I mean, anywhere you're working, you are serving someone at some point or another, whether you're selling goods or services or whatever. And especially in this day and age, it is getting easier and easier to stand up a business. So if you are not in the people business, there's somebody out there in the people business that will earn your customer base's business better than you are.
Now we're going to shift gears. My previous co-host on my podcast made a joke. I almost fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard because we recorded it like December 15th, but it was to be launched on January 7th.
Yeah.
And he was like, so it's January 7th and you've probably already given up on your goals for the year. And I was just like, I fucking, like he said it so matter-of-factly. It was so great.
Yep.
And so this is going to be released probably in a couple of weeks right after the new year. You coach a lot of men, you coach a lot of people trying to get their fitness and health and mental goals set up. What information would you impart on them to kind of make this year different than last year?
This is a fun quote that a lot of people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 7. I believe is the way the quote goes. And usually in the TikTok age where everybody has ADD and attention only lasts 7 seconds, a lot of people overestimate what they can do in a week or 2 weeks or a month. And the time, here's the advice I'll give them, and something to sit on. This specific statement. The time is going to pass anyway. How do you want it to pass? Because you can give up a weekend, then you're going to be there next January because some arbitrary calendar date came around and you decided this is when I'm going to make change. Or it can get rough a weekend. You can ask yourself and get curious, why did it get rough? What happened? How can I adjust that? Because if you just give up every time you come up against an obstacle, then every obstacle will derail you. If you overcome that obstacle, you will learn how to address future obstacles. Mind-blowing concept. I know it's not like there's any books written on this stuff, but it's still something a lot of people need to hear. The time's going to pass anyway. How do you want it to pass? Do you want it to be the same? You want to be the same a year from now, or do you want to be exponentially different?
And I did this with my client this morning. It was so great. I was like going through all these scenarios. She's an overthinker. And I'm like, so who portrays the perspective on your life if you're growing or moving in the right direction, or if you're stuck in neutral? And she goes, I do. And I go, wow, what a vicious cycle that might be. So the only person that exists in your life that can tell you whether or not you're moving forward every day and not stuck neutral 10 years from now is you, but yet you are not giving yourself any credit that you're moving forward.
That's one of the biggest ones. The amount of people that, I mean, I know you've seen it. The bigger that people get, the bigger the imposter syndrome grows, and the more, because then they realize that this game is limitless, right? So they start to think that they haven't done enough because there's so much more to be done. I just published an episode today with Rob Bailey, and the guy, like, he does multiple millions of dollars of business a month. He has a clothing brand, he does music, he's building a development in Montana, he has a full Airbnb portfolio. And I mean, he's saying the noise is louder than ever now. The waters get muddied easier than ever. And if you grab that on the front end, it gets a lot easier to address it as you get going. If you just try and ignore that, and you're like, oh, some progress, then it's going to be even harder. Those wins, you're not going to be able to own them just because they got bigger. It's going to be even harder to own them because you don't think that you did the work to get there. Own the fact that you wiped your ass this morning. Give yourself the little wins and everything else gets easier.
Yeah, because I mean, I think ultimately what's interesting is, and she said, "What is the single greatest thing that changed your life?" And I said, "I just don't give a fuck anymore." Like if you came up to me and you said, Austin, our goal of 1 billion isn't big enough. We need to go to 50 bill. I'd be like, sounds great.
Yeah.
I just don't care anymore. And maybe because I fucked up my life so much for so many years, and I'm so happy to be fucking sober and happy in a healthy relationship and around great people. I just don't give a fuck anymore. And there's no, like, that doesn't mean I'm not scared. It just means that I just don't attach myself to them and I just don't care anymore.
True mastery is when you can be obsessed with something and absolutely not care about it at the same time. When you can be super driven and moving forward, and at the same time, like you're saying, just not give a fuck.
Need none of it, dude.
Yeah.
All my mentors. This is what he said to me, dude. I've retired on a 1,000-acre ranch 3 times, and all times I was miserable as fuck because I realized it wasn't the game, it wasn't the results that I loved. It was the game I was in love with.
Well, I mean that's dopamine is an anticipatory hormone, they're finding out. So like you don't get dopamine by retiring and living on the 1,000-acre ranch. You get dopamine by going after something.
Dude, my favorite thing in the entire world is to cook and plan a party, and yet I want nothing to do with the party once it's taken place.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
how many times in life have you built your entire what you've identity is on building up to the thing, and then you get the thing and you're like, oh, this is it?
Dude, it was my gym. I kept this iteration, that iteration. I was like, oh, I don't actually want to run a gym. I enjoyed building it. Like, yeah.
3 weeks ago, I had an epiphany, and my goal was, I'm only gonna run races in my life I can't win. That's my new goal moving forward. I'm only like the reason I love cycling, like, and I haven't done it in a long time. I'm about to get back to it when we get the new RV. Is that you can't win. You could always go faster. You could always go farther. It's perfect for a driven personality. Yeah. And part of what's holding you back in life is meaning that your goals might be too small.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Goals are too small, or they're too small, and there's somebody else's goals. Mm-hmm. Like you have yet to actually ask yourself what big, nasty, hairy, crazy goal you would.
You know what I call it? You know what I call it to my clients? Hey, what's the goal this year that's going to make your ass sweat? That's the goal I want. And whatever that goal is, know that I'm going to double it.
That's
and it's not even that you're going to hit the goal. It's that who you're going to become in the process.
Right. Because it might not be that goal that is the end thing. Like we're saying, it's the journey. You got to start climbing though. If you just stay at the base of the mountains and you never head towards the summit, you don't know whether you're going towards the right summit. You might get halfway up a mountain and realize there's a more scenic view from that summit over there. Guess what? You might have to go down in a valley and then start climbing again. But at least you started climbing to get the perspective and gain the skills to get to where you wanted to go in the long run.
It's interesting because I told my client this morning, his goal is $50,000 in his business a month. And it'll be great. That's a great lifestyle. And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take 1 month and I want you to prepare for it for a month leading up to it. Let your wife know, let your kids know. And I said, I want you to make the most amount of money you could possibly make that month, because he has the ability to do that.
Yeah.
He goes, I could probably make $100,000. And I go, okay, that's great. And I said, do I give a fuck about the $100,000? No. But once you make the $100,000, you'll know it's possible. And so now the $50,000 that you're making a month is a choice.
Yep.
It's not a task. Game changer.
100%. 100%. That's the first time I did 10K a month in my business, I did 17. It was like right up and over. Like, cool. All right. And people look at this and We it's so easy to diminish our power and hand it off and be like, well, $10,000 a month, my own business. Like some people might think that sounds crazy. To me, like 10K a month in my own business is like the bare minimum moving forward. Like I'm retiring my wife in 2023. And like that's just cold, hard fact.
It's an opportunity to go to a place that you didn't think was possible. And here, let me let you know a secret. There's no going back.
No.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard in my entire life. I met a guy who made 450 grand a month on residual in their business. Okay.
Man.
And for life. Okay. It was between him and his brother. They split it and they were just building it every month, right?
What kind of business?
It's network marketing. I wouldn't suggest it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I like the guy, but they built it for 25 years. That's why.
Yeah.
The number one in the company for fucking 20 years in a row. That's one of the largest companies in the world. Okay. So I digress. But he used to tell me a story. He said, Austin, if you want me to tell you what 8 grand feels like a month, he goes, I can tell you, I lived that for 8 fucking years. I know exactly what it feels like. He's like, but if you want me to know, if you want me to tell you what 50 grand a month feels like, I can't tell you. Because I passed that bitch up doing 150 miles an hour straight to 100 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, like, yes, there is this slow progression, but once you start, I changed my way I view content now, right? Like we've had a good year in the podcast. Thank you, everybody. You have no idea. We tripled what we did last year in views. But then I got to a place where like I was caring too much about it. And then I realized like, oh, this is just going to be something I do for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. So what would it look like if I just did this consistently for 40 years? How big would my brand be?
Massive, dude. I only published 28 episodes on my podcast last year, and Spotify told me I was in the top 10% in health and wellness. Like the consistency game brings you to the top.
And you get to control as a creator in your business, your content, everything, how many, what that year's feeling like to you. Right.
Yep.
So maybe it's only 20 pieces of content, but it's the best 20 pieces of content you ever put out in your life.
Yep.
Right. Or maybe it's 150 and that's the best. Like for me, it was, I want to get out of the real estate space and talk to more doctors, lawyers, business people, gym owners, health people. I just wanted to diversify. And so that's what we did. And so like, I don't really have a set barometer on who's coming to the podcast, but like, all of a sudden I'm talking to an Olympic athlete next week, 2-time Olympic athlete. Like I didn't ask for that. It got introduced from a friend, like, and then boom, he introduced me like 4 people. Like I don't have like this is how many I'm going to do. And I'm going to be this structured thing. And it's like, if you're a great conversation and you got a story to tell, let's have a fucking conversation.
100%.
It's always been about that to me. And so the question as you ask yourself is, do you put enough of that need in your life? And I think what's exciting about what we're creating as a company, you and I and our other partners, is that nobody needs to do anything that we're doing. Everybody's there because they want to. It's no, this is not easy. Okay. I just spent 10 days in Pennsylvania in like 20-degree weather with, it's not easy stuff, like away from my fiance, like in an Airbnb by myself. But then you get the text from the employee. Hey, like, thank you. Like, thank you so much for like what you're bringing to this table and this energy. Like, it's really going to change my life. Like, boom, done. Okay. We're good. We're right where we need to be. Beautiful. Right. And so you're anybody that's out there listening, like, how much of that is in your life? Are you living your life based off of like decisions that other people made for you? Or are you actually making choices every day for yourself?
That's a golden question right there. And I mean, there's a rabbit hole there as to whether we can answer that, because our subconscious
Well,
more or less runs the show.
Here's the deal. And also, to really throw gasoline on the fire, I really need to introduce you to this guy, is that we had a 2-hour dinner meeting discussion with a group of individuals, and he said free will is not even a choice, that's actually ours. And we went, dude, I don't mean to stoke this.
It's a good discussion, because like we might think that we have free will. At the end of the day, our subconscious has been proven to make decisions for us up to 7 seconds prior to us making that decision. So then we can say, well, we have the ability to reprogram our subconscious. Well, where does the want for what we want to reprogram it with come from? Is that just our subconscious telling us what's lacking? So then the free will that we've created is really just our subconscious screaming for something different. And then even once we reprogram it, all we're doing is reprogramming that subconscious. So then we're not really still acting off of free will, because we just reprogrammed ourselves.
And the more important thing to add on top of that, to frame it in a place that maybe they could understand that a little bit more. Are you having conversations with people to confirm things that are going on? Or are you actually opening your fucking ears?
That's getting stuck in.
We've become a society of confirming, not listening.
Well, people, echo chambers, right? People build their own personal echo chambers. And I mean, I've had conversations with people where it's you say one thing, and the way they hear it, you're like, oh, okay, that was how you're hearing it. And that's interesting. Because the way they respond, it's like, I'll make it more clear next time.
I only control what I say. I don't control what you hear.
Exactly.
But my favorite thing is you for some reason you made me think of a Sebastian Maniscalco joke about how we don't have company over anymore. Have you seen this bit?
No.
Oh, dude, you will literally start peeing on yourself laughing so much. And he talks about how it's like a drive-by shooting now when people show up, and he's like, turn off the fucking lights. And he's like, shh, shh, shh. Dude, I gotta send you this after the thing. It's so true, because kids used to just come over to my house and be like, hey man, you gonna go ride bikes today?
Like when the doorbell used to ring, we would like race each other to the front door.
Dude, it's the joke. You have the whole joke.
Now
everybody would show up all dressed up nice and open the door as a family.
Yep. I mean, even if it was a stranger, like a random doorbell ring in the middle of the day, everybody's running to the door to get to see someone. Now we get to see enough people through our fucking phones. So why would I want to see anybody at my door? Go away.
Everybody asked me, why the RV? Why do you like it? Well, besides the fact that we enjoy it. But there is something to be said that I knew that the business deals that we were going to get in were going to be heavier. This is a byproduct of this. I didn't know this leading into it, but it started forming after a couple months in. Being able to be there in person and just show up and shake hands and be in somebody's energy, man, it goes a long way, especially with the type of businesses we're trying to buy in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, businesses where individuals are literally dealing with people all day long. You try and, show up and run that one remotely. That's going to be good luck.
I know we could have done it, but after spending 2 weeks at the HVAC company, like it's the right thing, especially as we establish who we are and what we do, right? And so, what is your take on like people? Somebody said earlier to me today, like it's really just lack of options mentally that I think is holding people back, whether it be financially, mindset, health-wise. So I don't think that's the problem when it comes to information, because there's a million YouTube videos, there's 100 health guys. So maybe it's the opposite. Maybe we need to get super simplistic and remove the options and just pick one thing a week, and because that's how you create new brainwaves in your subconscious, is little habits.
100%. One thing a week. I mean, that's the way that I teach, lifestyle, mindset, and fitness, is one piece every 2 weeks for each pillar. As far back as the Navy, we had a guy that they put him in leadership position over our engine room. And he was just there temporary. And he taught us a great lesson. It's like, listen, command wants us to do 10 different things today. And if we split up and we start doing those 10 different things, there's a good chance not one of them gets done and we end up here late. We're going to do one of those and get it done and then move on to the rest of the list. So that way, when they check with me at 1500 to say, what have we done today? I can say we got something done. And that works for yourself too. Right? Right.
Dude, I want to shake this man's hand. Dude, in a representation of life, those 10 different things in 10 separate ways are 10 different egos.
Yeah. 100%.
And the only way to build what you and I are building is to remove the ego and create the wealth.
Yeah.
There's going to be a place 3 years from now where a business gets onboarded and managed separate from us. And that's going to feel super awkward.
Super awkward.
But it's yeah. Like I'm going to be like, literally like my skin's crawling thinking about it right now. Like I literally want to take off my shirt. I feel so uncomfortable just saying
we're just going to put you on a wakeboard boat for a week. You'll be fine.
No, listen, if you put me in a sailboat in the middle of the Mediterranean, I'll forget that I even have a business. See, here's the great thing about me. This is actually, y'all haven't met this guy yet. I can't wait to introduce him to you. I call it Cheese Shop Austin. Okay. And what I mean by that is when I used to go to Napa or France, I love cheese. Yeah. And when I sold wine, and I used to spend an hour in the cheese shop talking to the purveyors, tasting wine and looking at work, Austin, an hour in a cheese shop, get the fuck out of here. Like, and the thing is, but like I've made peace with myself that this is what, like, I'm either all the way on or all the way off. Like you've never even met before. I'm actually like pretty lazy, which is crazy because I have like 50 meetings a week. I think that's what people don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. Like, I wonder how many people are like that don't talk about it. That like, there's really the people that talk about balance. It's like, yeah, it's because I go full fucking steam, and then when I'm off, I'm off. You know, because
Cassie and Omar call it straitjacket, Austin. he bitches like a little 12-year-old until he just tires himself out and goes to bed.
There you go. That was my daughter last night after a whole long holiday at Grandma and Grandpa's house. She cry, sleep.
And the question is that we as humans keep fighting ourselves up against putting labels on how we need to behave, when ultimately you're the one that gets to choose how you behave. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less, right? And I'll get a lot of pushback on this. And I'm not saying there isn't, so please don't freak out. But I'm saying that a lot of the labels, the ADHD, the depression, all those things, that's a choice. I know there's chemical imbalances. I have ADHD, but you can choose for it to be a benefit and learn how to hack. Look, for me, I have crazy long Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then I'm completely off on Thursdays, Fridays. There's a lot of people that like to do a little bit every day. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
And so it took me 2 years to get my schedule this way, but it's been great. Right. And it allows my life to do the thing. And so you can move into this new year and you can make decisions that work for you, and you can stop worrying about if other people are going to be okay with it and just let them figure it out for themselves.
Yeah. Because if they're not okay with what you're doing, whatever you do isn't going to make them okay. They got other work to do.
Cassie just texted me because she's downstairs getting back from Costco, and we have a joke that, have you seen? I'm gonna send you this other video about how a husband wakes up in the morning and how a wife wakes up in the morning, and the husband literally has a trail light on his head. And he's like sifting through the thing and like tiptoeing, and then the woman gets out of the bed and breaks the table and knocks over everything. And she just texted me, the quieter I try to be, somehow I'm louder. It is the truth. And so look, Chase and I are on here having a conversation, and all we really want for you is for 2023 to be your best fucking year ever.
2023, best year ever. Pass it on.
That's it. You get to determine what that looks like. Here's the great thing. Nothing could change, and you could lose 5 pounds, and it could be the best fucking year ever.
Yeah. It's your choice.
There's
Keep telling
nobody
yourself
out there.
best year ever. You'll make it your best year ever.
Nobody out there.
Yeah.
That's saying you do. You get to choose. And all I beg for you, all I hope that when I leave this earth is that you realize that it's all your choice.
Is it? Do we?
I don't give, look, here's what I tell people all the time that work for us. I'm not giving you a job. I gave you an opportunity.
Yeah.
And because I gave you an opportunity, it's up to you to determine whether or not you still have the job.
Absolutely.
No expectations from this guy. As Sarah would say, on to the next.
You take the emotion out of it.
I love it. Well, man, if they want to find out about you, they want to follow your journey, how would they do that?
Man, if you guys listen to this podcast, it's the first time you're hearing the answer to this question. Go back because we've recorded some jammers. And at coach_Chase_Tolleson on Instagram, chasetolleson.com on the interwebs, and then the Primal Man podcast. So those are the spots.
All right, guys. If you like this episode, send it to a friend, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.